Hey everyone, Sky here to discuss Road to Perdition, starring Tom Hanks, Paul Newman, Jude Law, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and Stanley Tucci, and directed by Sam Mendes. Now, I do remember seeing this back in theaters in 2002, but what do I think of it then versus now? Let's get into it. In 1931, Mike Sullivan, played by Tom Hanks, is a mob man with Mr. Rooney, played by Paul Newman, who is married to Annie, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, and has two sons, Peter, played by Liam Aiken, and Mike Jr., played by Tyler Hoechlin. And the characters the audience can connect with is Mike Sr. and Mike Jr. Interesting, they're both named Mike. As for the Mr. Rooney, I like as him as a character because it's Paul Newman, who I reviewed before in this movie. But I absolutely love him in this movie. And he was an incredible actor, may he rest in peace. The one character I honestly didn't care for is Mr. Rooney's son Connor, played by James Bond himself, Daniel Craig. And I'll talk about his Bond when I get to his version, but whenever he's asked to do something, he fucks it all up. So to me, he's a problematic character. And I like his line when Peter asks why is he always smiling all the time, and his comeback line is, because it's all so fucking hysterical. Because he's jealous. Believe me, he really was fucking jealous. And it was well delivered by Daniel Craig, but yeah, whenever he's on screen, it mucks the movie quite a bit up. At one point, he curses in front of children and shoots a bad guy in front of one. And so, in my opinion, the character is not too smart for me. The plot kicks in after Connor shoots the bad guy, and Mike Sr. with Annie. And after Annie and Peter get killed thanks to Connor, I felt bad for Jennifer Jason Leigh, but I'll see her again in Quentin Tarantino's movie. But here, I feel really bad for her. Mike Sr. and Mike Jr. go to Chicago to look for a man who Mike Sr. worked for in the past, and I love the iconic theme score to this movie. It was a job well done by Thomas Newman. And Mike Sr. talks with Frank Nitti, played by Stanley Tucci, who I very much enjoyed in this movie, but he refuses Mike Sr.'s offer and goes in another room with Mr. Rooney, along with Connor, and Frank sends his best man, McGuire, played by Jude Law, to assassinate Mike Sr. And I had an interesting time watching Jude Law here. Mike Sr. takes Mike Jr. to his Aunt Sarah's house on her mother's side, who lives in Perdition, which is by the beach. And I like the adventure. They go from getting encountered to McGuire to Mike Sr. teaching Mike Jr. how to drive, which was intense. And Mike Sr. and Mike Jr. driving lessons was greatly acted by Tom Hanks, who's always great, and Tyler Hoechlin, who I don't know very well, but does amazing here. And Sam Mendes does a great directing job for this movie. And I like the bank robbery scenes that way you get briefly of, in order to get the dirty money of Mr. Rooney and Nitti and Connor. Mike Sr. gets shot by McGuire in the arm and bleeds out to death, and Mike Jr. takes him to the friendly couple's house and stays there for one night. And to thank them, they leave them money, and Mike Sr. finds Mr. Rooney in a church, and Mike Sr. talks with him about killing Connor, but it doesn't give him up until Mike Sr. shoots Mr. Rooney and shoots Connor in his hotel room, which was a nice way to kill someone who killed your wife and one of the kids. And I was fine with it, in my opinion, because he was a bad character to begin with. It's all over until they get to the beach house, and a dog greets Mike Jr. and pets him, and McGuire, with a Scarface, shoots Mike Sr., and takes a picture of him until Mike Jr. holds a gun to McGuire, and Mike Sr. shoots him as he dies in the hands of Mike Jr. as he drives away. with the dog and goes to the back of the friendly couple's house, and I really liked the ending. The score was just beautifully sounded and the perfect sound to end this movie. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 8.0 out of 10. The acting is tremendous, the directing is great, the score is absolutely beautiful, and this is a well-made, good-looking movie. I like this movie for the characters, and I like watching a movie with mobsters as long as there's a story, and this had a good story. And I had a pretty damn good time with this movie, so yeah, I recommend you see it. So I will be back next week with A History of Violence by David Cronenberg, and until next time, let's flip the page.